I'm Ross, a curious parent.
And I'm John, an education expert.
This is From the Sidelines.
Bite-sized study tips to help you help them through.
Well, John, can you believe we're coming to the end of this first ever season of From the Sidelines?
It's been amazing, hasn't it? It's been
Yeah.
great thinking back on all the topics we've talked about previously. It's been great to see all the people that have kind of messaged us and reached out to say that it's been really useful, shared some examples and photographs of how that's worked. And yeah, we're getting to that time of year now where, you know, people are thinking about things coming to an end and new things starting next year. And, you know, we're really hopeful we're going to be kind of doing some more stuff into the next academic year as well. So for people to stay tuned if they've been enjoying what we've been doing and imparting our knowledge.
And we're definitely looking forward to season 2 already.
Absolutely.
Little spoiler there.
Absolutely.
That will be coming your way.
Definitely.
Interesting that actually. Before we get into the topic for today, you mentioned about the things coming to an end and kind of cyclical nature of things, and it's something I'm always intrigued about. Yourself being in education, you know. Is it time for reflection at that point in the year then? Is that how do you use that period, that mainly summer period before coming back in September? Is it about reflection mainly at that point?
It's reflection, but it's also refreshment as well.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is kind of recharging batteries, whether that's physical or mental as well, and actually thinking about how we can make sure that we are reflecting. We're thinking about what's gone well, what do we need to change, what do we need to tweak, what do we need to do differently, and that's the same in any line of business that has that cyclical nature that you talk about, whether that might be, I often refer to sporting analogies. So it might be a Formula One season, you know, or a football season. And actually in the off season, you are reflecting and evaluating what went well, what did we do really well that worked, let's do more of that next year, next season, what didn't go so well, what do we need to tweak, what do we need to change, and what didn't go well but was just out of our hands, that actually it wasn't necessarily anything we did, you know, that we need to change, but so we're still going to continue that down that vein. So that reflection, but also the mental and physical recharging of batteries so that we're ready to go again. And again, that's the same in sport as well, isn't it? You can't train and perform all year long. There's that kind of downtime where you reflect and recharge, and then you're ready to go again at hopefully peak performance in our business in September.
Yeah, and again, looking at what we've done here, what we've tried to kind of create and develop as a concept is that for those parents and carers, champions young people that have those children who are GCSE exam kind of students, you know, we're thinking about potentially from September onwards that they'll maybe go into sixth form, etc. And almost that cycle starts again, doesn't it? And actually some of these tricks, these tips, these nuggets, these resources, these advice points that we're trying to give, that if that starts in September, then we're way ahead of the game, and those habits start to be created at a really early stage, helps them in that long run in terms of that final peak performance.
Completely, and we've talked at length in many of our podcasts about starting early.
Yeah.
So if you are a parent who has a child that is starting whatever phase of their education they're about to go into after the summer, you know, in September, then starting these things now and getting these habits nailed down and ready for the start of the year is really good practice, because you're then not trying to change their habits, their mindsets, their body clocks, their sleep routines, their eating, you know, habits the day before kind of, you know, the big event, the exam, etc., etc. So no matter where you are on your journey as a parent, and no matter how old they are, no matter what age or phase or stage they are, then all of this, the quicker you can get it embedded and into their habits, the better that's going to be.
So, looking at today's topic, one of the things that I think a lot of adults listening will understand and appreciate is the importance of hydration.
Correct.
And you know, it's something that we're always conscious about, making sure that we stay hydrated. Mm-hmm. But what impact does this have on a child's learning?
Okay, it's twofold really. First of all, in terms of hydration with thinking and concentration, it plays a massive part in their attention span, their ability to think hard, their ability to focus, their ability to stay concentrated. And if you, I suppose if I give you an analogy, if you are dehydrated, let's take it the other way, you then start to have headaches. Okay, it might lead to migraines. It becomes far more difficult to concentrate and think deeply if you are dehydrated. So that's the first thing. And secondly, it really helps with kind of just generally regulating their body and good health. So I think that, if we can all stay hydrated as much as possible, especially our children through their learning, it can make a big difference.
And when we're talking about hydration and staying hydrated, as you take a sip of water, which is just beautiful timing.
Product placement there with a glass of water.
Absolutely, yeah. Water is available in other stores as well. Can you give an idea of how much water we're talking about from a child's point of view to make sure that they are hydrated?
Yeah, there's been a lot of studies on this, and it's very, very surprising how little water you need to then be kind of super hydrated. And therefore, if I flip that on its head, because that might sound like, oh, well, we don't need to worry about it then. But if I flip that on its head and you turn it around, it's also therefore surprising how much little water you haven't got or you've lost to therefore be dehydrated. Okay, so bear that in mind. So the study says that even just 300 milliliters of water can affect and can improve your child's concentration and their overall performance by up to 25%. Now that's a phenomenal kind of stat when you think about if they are going into an exam and they're going to be kind of required to think deeply for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. So to be, if they're dehydrated and they haven't left the house in the morning having a drink and they haven't got, then they're going to be, behind the start line, so to speak, before with everyone else. Like they need to be hydrated well so they can concentrate. So even that much, and we know again from our daily lives, there's so many water bottles on sale now that have markings already on to say, drink this by 11 o'clock, drink this by lunchtime. We see that. We do that as adults, but we sometimes then forget that might be really important for our children as well. Their minds and their physical, their bodies, they're not fully developed yet. So it's even more important for them as they are developing to make sure that they're hydrated. So it's really, really important. I can't stress how important this is for their concentration.
You mentioned concentration, concentration, focus, those kind of key words that we've often had throughout the episodes that we've done so far. Is that primarily where hydration plays its piece with regards to helping with that concentration and focus aspect, or is there other aspects as well within that? Yeah,
there are other aspects, and I could probably spend 2 hours talking about the physiological benefits of hydration. But if I kind of have it in a nutshell in terms of general good health, mental health, well-being, regulated body, like all those things, that's what we want for our kids. Surely we do, and I'm sure that's what you want for yours as well as mine. So the happier our children are, the more happier they're going to be with life. The happier they're going to be in their learning, the more focused they're going to be. So it's all about that general well-being of their body. And if you think about diet, and if you break diet down, yes, we've got carbohydrates and vitamins and minerals and etc. But actually, a key part of that is water. And we often forget that because we think about diet as things that we eat, and we sometimes miss what we drink. So it's really important to think that it's part of that well-rounded, well-balanced diet. And if we don't have that and we're missing that out, or we're replacing it with things that aren't as good as water, then it plays a big part. So can I give you a scenario? Go for it. Okay, I've got a child who's about to take their exams. I've listened to this podcast intently. I've taken on board your advice, and I thought, right, I need to make sure they're drinking some water now. We need to get them hydrated. Okay, so either probably morning before the exam, I'm telling them, right, you need to be hydrated. Drink the water. They're drinking it. Is that going to pose them problems when they're going to the exam? And are they going to therefore need the toilet every 5 minutes? And am I ultimately going to be the one to give them that bad experience? Yes, and yes. Okay. So the problem you've got there is you've started way too late. As we've talked about in previous episodes, you're trying to change their bodily functions at the last minute, and you're trying to make a significant change. Now, I'm sure that every single person listening to this will have at some point wanted to increase the amount of water that they were taking on board, whether it's because, as you said, their partner, their mum, their dad, or someone has said to them, you need to drink more water. And then you go, okay then, and you start drinking it and you think, oh, I don't like this. I'm at the toilet every 5 minutes. Your body hasn't had a chance to adjust to, physically carrying that, that kind of extra water. So if it's at the last minute, it poses those problems because, as quite rightly, as you said, if they're taking it on board and they haven't been used to it, they will need the toilet. Yeah. And once they need the toilet once, they're probably going to need the toilet twice, 3 times, 4 times. Now, what that poses 2 problems. Firstly, it completely disrupts their focus and their flow because they're having to get up out of their seat, go to the toilet. You know, they have to ask someone to take them to the toilet if it's an exam or if it's in a classroom. They've got, you know, all that. It's a nightmare. The second thing it then does is when they need the toilet the second time, the chances are they might feel embarrassed, especially if it's only 5 or 10 minutes after they've been the first time. Or they also might feel like somebody is thinking they're suspicious. Hang on, why did they go back to the toilet again 10 minutes later? Are they trying to cheat? Have they got their answers somewhere? So you then start trying to fight the urge to go to the toilet and put it to the back of your mind and think, I can't go again because I've just been, people are going to laugh at me or they're going to think. So you're spending so much brain power fighting the urge to not go to the toilet, and it's nagging away at you in your mind saying, you know, Ross, you need to go to the toilet again. And you're not therefore concentrating on the complexities of the exam or the task in hand or whatever it is. And again, think about it in our own lives. When you have, it happened to me yesterday. I was driving home. I had about an hour and a half drive home, and I had a drink before I left the studio, and I needed the toilet. And the last half an hour on the way home, I was thinking, can I get through? Can I get through? And it was just repeating in my mind all the time. So we do not want that for our children, certainly in exams. So the message is there that, again, a bit like trying to change the sleep habits the night before, it's probably too late then. It needs to be done, actually, in advance, a few weeks out.
Yeah, the last thing we want to do here is have parents and carers being held responsible by their child for needing to go to the toilet 5 times in an exam. So yeah, that gradual water intake, though, that gradual hydration, how do we do that? How do we ensure that happens over time?
It's about planning backwards from the event. So like we've talked about before with the study planner, planning backwards and thinking, right, we know, you know, exams start in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it is. How can we then start to kind of gradually increase the amount that they're drinking, and making sure as well that they're drinking before they leave the house? You know, with breakfast isn't just eating. You know, we talk, it's interesting, isn't it? Even in my mind, as I said it there, we talk about eating breakfast, don't we? And it's a physical eat. What do I eat? It's also about what we're drinking. So it's almost like we almost need to change that of like consuming breakfast and then have that eating and drinking at the same time, making sure we're drinking before we leave the house, making sure that we are, you know, promoting the fact that they need to be taking on more water. So even if they're at school and they're not with you, make sure you're getting a drink at lunchtime or break time as well, and straight after school. Just gradually you're trying to throughout the day and increasing it. So what we don't want is to then say, oh, okay, I need to drink 3 litres of water a day. I'll just down 3 litres in one go. I mean, we all know what's going to happen. You know, it's a gradual intake, so our body gets used to those routines, and it is able to hold larger quantities without us needing to constantly, you know, visit the toilet.
Dare I say it, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, repeating habits, building up over time, you know, kind of that is what we're talking about here, isn't it? It's about making these little changes early on that have a massive impact when it comes to doing the business.
And are very simple to implement.
Yeah.
However, they're also very simple to forget.
Yeah, and again, that's really important as well, because this is exactly what we're mentioning, is for yourselves listening and watching, you know, these are tips that John believes, and I completely agree with you, that we can implement and we can almost be the ones to drive those forwards. Really important for parents and carers and Champions Young People to do that, because we're the ones that can ensure that they do stay hydrated. Absolutely, you know, this is kind of critical, little, small elements that add up to the bigger picture, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a relentless pursuit, really, of those world-class basics.
Yeah,
actually,
beautiful.
Let's just do it, and let's just do it all the time. And, you know, we are what we repeatedly do. You know, not just what we do every now and again. Yeah.
And I'd love to discuss more, John. I'd love to end with some more particular examples, but I really need the toilet. So on that one, I think I'd like to say thank you very much. Hydration's been lovely to discuss. Very important topic, of course, as with everything. But yeah, we'll see you guys again soon. Thank you.